So for this project, activity 3, excuse my voice, it's going to be for the holistic educator's credo, and I've written a story about this credo, and it's a holistic view of trying to help a student find themselves, find their true value within themselves. And the story goes, there once was a small grain of sand that managed to get caught up in an oyster. And it remained there for quite some time, and the oyster slowly started to turn it into a pearl. After a while, this little pearl started to gain a little bit of curiosity about what was going on outside the oyster. So one day it left the oyster and wandered out into the oyster bed. There it saw all these other oysters. They all opened up, and there was pearls of much larger size than the little pearl was. And he said, "Oh, little pearl, you got to go back into that oyster because you're not nearly valuable enough. You really just don't have what it takes to be a pearl right now. Go back and keep working. It's just a humble beginning that you're at, but you got to keep working." So the little pearl, okay, wandered back to his oyster and went inside and thought, "Wow, I'm really going to work hard. I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to show them that I can be good and that I can be valuable." So back in the oyster, it built up the mother of pearl and kept on going and kept on going, and several weeks went by, several months went by, and finally the little pearl decided, I wonder if I'm good enough now. I wonder if I'm good enough. And so off it went back out into the oyster bed. And there all the other pearls and oysters opened up and saw it and were kind of snickering. "Yeah, little pearl, yeah, you worked hard, but you know what? You're still not there. You're not nearly valuable enough. You got to be like us. You got to be more valuable. You got to keep on working. You got to keep on trying harder and harder to get ahead. You got to keep going. You're not valuable is what we're saying. You're worthless. So go back in and keep on working." So the little pearl thinks, okay, well, why not? Goes back inside its oyster and keeps working and builds up that mother of pearl, and again goes out into the oyster bed. And it's been working now for years. Goes on out and it sees all these other pearls, and again they're still, "You're worthless. You're not as valuable as us. You got to keep striving. You got to keep trying harder and harder. You're not worthy in our eyes. You got to keep getting the grade," sort of thing. And so the little pearl decides, okay, I'll go back in, but wow, goes back in, and he's just working away for a few more years. And suddenly it dawns onto him just one day. He's like, I come out of this oyster and I've been working really, really hard, but all these other oysters and pearls, they're also working really, really hard. So there's certainly ones that have started way before me, and there's no way that I could ever catch up to them. They're always going to say that I'm not as valuable as them, that they're worth more because they've been striving to get at this. And the little pearl thought and said, this is nuts. There's no way I can get ahead. There's no way I could ever really win. So, or become valuable in their eyes. So he thought, well, what if I stopped working at building up this exterior? What if I stopped trying to impress these other pearls that I might consider myself valuable? What if I start to look at what I really am? And so the little pearl started to take off layer and layer and layer of mother of pearl. Started to strip itself down and down and down. For months it kept on working away to undo all of that effort that it had done. And finally, when it came down to the base, it found that it was a grain of sand. And it laughed, remembering, I'm just a grain of sand. Those silly pearls. They're all so pumped up, thinking of themselves as these wonderful and worthy type things, but they're all just grains of sand on the inside. How liberating it was for the little grain of sand, and he asked the oyster to open up and thanked the oyster for the lesson, wandered out into the oyster bed, and he was trying to tell these other oysters and the pearls, we're not pearls at all. We're actually free grains of sand. We're something totally different. We don't need to keep striving the way that we're going on like this. Well, of course, the pearls, they didn't pay any attention to a tiny little grain of sand. That's even less value than a little pearl would be. And so the little grain of sand decided that it was going to go off on its own and enjoy the great big blue sea. So it wandered away. So the message in with that, with teaching, is that so often within our curriculum, we're really pushing our kids to meet this standardized, this value, this worthiness, and it's really in finding that inner self, finding that inner grain of sand that allows us to see who we truly are. And I think that as a holistic educator, it's being able to turn that on its head so that instead of deeming someone worthy, they actually can find worth within themselves. So I'm posting that. This is my contribution. Not really a poet. I can draw stuff, but I don't have a scanner. Hope you enjoy it. It's a story that I wrote. That's me, James. Thanks. Bye.